My name is and today my colleague and I, Elise Brand, will be sharing some ideas with you on ways that you can use the PowerUp What Works materials and resources to enhance technology implementation efforts in your district or school, and ways to further technology use in the classroom to support student instruction. To the next slide, just a little bit about what is PowerUp What Works. PowerUp is a Center for Technology Implementation and is funded by the U.S. Department of Education Office of Special Education Programs. We're a multidisciplinary team of experts in education, technology, differentiated instruction, special education, and universal design for learning. PowerUp is anytime, anywhere professional learning website. It provides resources to help build capacity and support professional learning among teachers, school leaders, and professional development facilitators. Throughout, we draw on best practice research, the field literature in ed tech and special education, such as math, reading, and writing, and work to develop school structures to foster that effective system-wide technology implementation, and ultimately infuse integration of technology within instruction in the classroom. So we're going to begin with a brief discussion of best practice recommendations for school technology implementation, and then we're going to turn to the PowerUp website and explore the variety of materials and resources that we have available to start building capacity school leaders and administrators through the PowerUp school-wide policies. It's the PowerUp Your School of the website. We'll look at the materials that we have for bringing up professional development within the school and ways to be able to provide ongoing blended learning opportunities for teachers, and the specific resources that have been developed for teachers in PowerUp Your Classroom. Kind of housekeeping thing, we have the chat functionality in the session, and so would encourage you at any point to share your ideas, your comments, or ask questions so that we can be responsive to your thoughts and ideas. And so if we move on to the next, there we go. At the Center for Technology Implementation, we read literature, reports, publications, all related to the process of implementing technology initiatives at the district and the school level. And have built out identifies 6 key recommendations, and it provides the foundation for the PowerUp Your School materials and resources that we provide on the website. These recommendations align to the essential conditions for school district supports were defined by the International Society for Technology Education. So it really speaks to working as a team. You know, when you're looking to expand the technology use within a district or school, that a big piece of that is that planning process, making sure that you're bringing the key stakeholders to the table and plan out the process in which you're going to unfold technology initiative. Station 2, speaks to our vision, and those revolve around, you know, they revolve how you're going to infuse technology use into the curricula and how you plan out student-centered learning activities that meet the needs of the students in the school. With regards This is about data to drive your decision making. What data elements, what assessment and evaluation techniques are you going to look at to be able to plan your professional development opportunities, to be able to set goals for the students and goals for the teachers in the building. Recommendation 4 is to defining the technology budget. Really is on the that you don't need more than just startup funds. You need to develop out how the budget will maintain the technology initiative over time. Recommendation relates to plan out those professional learning opportunities, both for school leaders on how to support a technology initiative, but also for teachers and to transform their classrooms and really infuse the technology throughout the instruction. And finally, recommendation 6 relates to providing technology access and support. This access is not only technical support, but support in terms of instructional support, policies and external contexts that wrap around the initiative and really ensures equitable access across. Given those key recommendations, we will move into the PowerUp What Works website, and I'm going to turn it over to Elise. She's going to start with looking at the resources we've developed for Power Your School, where we support modules and the recommendations for guiding out the work of the leadership team. Elise.
Thanks, Kristen. I'll see the screen yet. My computer is frozen, but I'll start talking. As Kristen alluded to, one of the guiding principles of the PowerUp What Works website is pulling together the key pieces necessary for doing technology implementation at the school level, but also helping teachers integrate technology into their daily practice in their classrooms. And so I was really looking at pulling bases in writing and math, designing targeted resources for teachers, but also taking a step back and knowing that teachers can only get so far in their technology integration journey without the larger context of the school as well as the district having technology implementation structures and processes in place that help support those teachers. It appears that difficulties and play is down. There seems to be a glitch in the mix today. Everybody's technology is fixing them, and unfortunately, it looks like the PowerUp website is down. In addition to, it looks like a bunch of other systems within our organization. So I'm going to give it, and in the meantime, sort of speak about some of the things I was going to show you on the website. One of the key pieces that we have is a second technology implementation process, and you'll find both a guide we've created based on the research on best practices in technology integration and implementation, which went through each of those 6 recommendations that Kristen talked about, and guide sort of through that decision making and through the process of developing professional development materials. But we've also created modules that go along with that practice guide and the 6 evidence-based recommendations that provide work activities, suggestions for meetings to really help your school move through that process. Technology implementation is very complicated. It's a long process. It goes far beyond, purchasing the technology and getting it in the hands of the teachers. And so we help you through and help school leaders and district leaders walk through that process. What policies do we need to consider? How do we make sure that teachers have the access to not just the technology that they need, but the support? You know, who do they call when things go down, as we're experiencing right now with our website? And, you know, systems are in place to make sure that teachers can be successful, because there's nothing worse than being a classroom teacher and getting up to do something with your students and having the technology fail you and not being able to carry through with your lesson. A lot of guidance around that area. And we want to ensure that we continue to support schools and teachers in this process, given that it is a complex process, and there are a lot of pieces that need to be in place. In addition to powering up your school, we provide an entire section focused on powering up your professional development opportunities. And there we help you dig into, you know, what sort of professional development do you need to offer your teachers to ensure that they can be successful with technology tools. How can blended PD opportunities, so there are things perhaps that your teachers can be doing online when they are, you know, common planning time with some of their co-teachers. There are things that they can be doing as part of larger groups in workshop setting. There are things that they can be doing as part of grade level or team level meetings, and we help you think through all of iteration of providing professional development and how you can use some of the PowerUp resources in conjunction with resources that you may already be using in your schools and weave those things together, create really solid ongoing professional development and professional learning opportunities for your teachers so they can start to feel comfortable with linking up technology tools with best practices in reading, writing, and mathematics. And obviously we have a specific focus on struggling students and students with disabilities. Many of our strategies and suggestions are applicable across a classroom and help teachers really think about using technology to support from the perspective of universal design for learning. So really making sure that technology is being used to support students who are struggling and also students who may be more advanced and may, you know, need additional challenges. Section on powering up professional development. And we have, you know, some sort of modules and resources, suggested activities. We've recently created PD playlists, so we've pulled there a bunch of resources on specific topics to use as kind of a jump starter for a professional development activity, whether it's something to lead into a full-day workshop or something that you use as part of a smaller half-day activity, to just get started thinking about how can we use technology to support, for example, students who are struggling writing and need additional supports there, or how can we support students doing informational reading and building vocabulary and academic vocabulary, and what technology tools and what strategies can we be using with our students. To provide additional resources for teachers, we have a whole section called Power Up Your Classroom. There we have evidence-based strategies in reading and math that are all aligned to the Common Core standards, and specific best practice recommendations in reading, for example. So we have things targeting using strategies like context clues or semantic mapping or word analysis strategies, and helping students build that vocabulary that they need to carry forward and be more successful within the context of meeting the Common Core state standards and help them be prepared for college and career readiness standards. And with of those, we have multimedia videos and slides that talk about the topic and introduce teachers to technology strategies that you can use to help students who are struggling in the area. So they give very brief overviews. And again, those are pieces that get pulled out into our PD. But you can kind of mix and match. You know, a teacher does not need to necessarily go through every piece of information we have on semantic mapping, but you can pull pieces out and say, this video is a great 5-minute intro. We're going to use that to kick off our grade meeting, where we're talking about how to address some of our students who are really struggling in writing, and we're going to watch this short video and then continue forward from there. Oh, I see. Ariel has very nicely started to show one of our teacher playlists. In addition to our broad PD playlists. We've also created these great little teacher playlists. Again, pull together some of the resources we have on our PowerUp website, and they're geared specifically for teachers and addressing a specific problem or a specific issue that they may have in the classroom. So this one is about helping struggling students develop skills, and we pull together strategies and key resources on pre-writing and drafting, as well as suggested technology tools, ways that they can use specific strategies to help meet the needs of those students who are struggling. So you can see multimedia resources we have available, interactive slideshows, short videos that you can pull out and use. We also have a website that is dedicated towards integrating technology. And so we've developed a number of resources, both short articles with practical suggestions for using technology strategies in your classroom, as well as interactive guides that focus specifically on one type of tool or one particular strategy that you can use. For example, on broader technology strategies using things like embedded supports, and these can be used across content areas. So we really want to introduce teachers to that you can use technology supports such as text-to-speech or word prediction or highlighting or built-in supports that are in many word processing programs that are available now pretty widespread across a variety of different programs. Students struggling, students who don't need those tools, don't need to use them, but if they're embedded within a platform, then it allows students to pick and choose the things that they most need that can help support the writing process. We created these interactive guides that talk to teachers about here that you can use something like virtual manipulatives in your classroom. Here are several examples of free resources for virtual manipulatives, and here's how you might incorporate them into your mathematics instruction. Or here are some ways that you could use something like podcasting to help students struggling to get, their writing or struggling to get their thoughts out, and that students may record their thoughts or create podcasts as a way of showing what they know and demonstrating their knowledge. I've talked through, this reminds me very much of I once gave a training to teachers on technology tools, and power had gone out in the school. So I talked to teachers through a software program in the dark, generalities, if we could get right, if we could turn on the computers. So as you've had a virtual web tour without the benefit of actually seeing our website, now and see whether anybody has any questions, because I know it's a little bit difficult to hear and not see. Into the chat.
Asked a few minutes ago what was the role that people had in supporting technology initiatives in their school or district, and one of our participants actually was indicating that she is an instructional technology coach for 15 schools in the district. Yeah, and so I think that the resources that we have on PowerUp could really actually support the work that you're doing, in not only in being able to expose teachers to the instructional strategy guides and talking about these best practice kind of strategies and how to infuse technology into instruction in the classroom, but also in the PD area, the PowerUp Your Professional Development area, focus on blended PD. I know that many schools today are operating on tight budgets, and as we all know, we're strapped when working with people in the schools, and so we have built out a number of resources in PowerUp Your Professional Development that focus on how do you go about that process of complementing a workshop with additional follow-on activities or pre-workshop activities that can be done either individually or in collaborative ongoing team meetings, so that there's a real focus on continuous professional development. As most know, it's the drive-by one-time workshop is not the most effective means of being able to provide PD, but it's more this ongoing, job-embedded kind of structure that allows for people to really start to integrate in a meaningful way the learning throughout their instruction. There's a question with regards to repeating the second and third recommendations. And so if Elise, if you want to go, if you want to go back to the slide that references our recommendations. I lost the whole. Recommendation 2 relates to actually creating shared vision and setting goals. And so, important that, as a school, schools are in the business setting visions, whether or not that's around, student achievement and, what type of learning you're aiming to accomplish in the school. One of the key best practices that comes out of the literature is that it's important to integrate the technology piece into your school vision. And so if a part of the is that you're using technology to help students instruct and create knowledge, and that you're using technology to expand beyond the traditional learning avenues into reaching out into our broader communities, setting shared vision, and then defining out those goals based off of, the data that you have in terms of how students are currently achieving, what kinds of needs do your teachers have. All of those pieces fit together to be able to create a culture that's moving towards one united body, towards an enhanced culture.
And actually, Kristen, since the website and somebody just asked about whether our resources are free, yes, they are. I'm sure I say that verbally in addition to putting it in the chat. But I'm wondering, Ariel, if you might show some of the texts that we created. I know you showed them briefly, but that at least gives people a flavor of some of the materials we've created. This blended PD that Kristen was talking about. And I think you keep jumping around, Ariel. So one of the key pieces that we've created recently is we wanted to give people, we have so many resources on the PowerUp website, and they are all free. And, we want to encourage schools or districts or teachers to use whatever pieces make sense to them, or use them in their context that they're doing, and support initiatives that are already happening. So to make that easier, we started to create these little mini models, for lack of a better word, little packs that pull together key resources from around our site and link them together, because we have many different strategies in reading, writing, and math, but there are some that work excellently together. You may, for students who are in reading, you may decide to use several of these, semantic mapping and visualizing, for example. Let's look at that one, Ariel. And so what are those strategies, and talk about how technology can support using two comprehension strategies together, and use tools to help improve that instruction and help make it more accessible to more students. And about using semantic mapping and visualizing, use those strategies in your classroom. And then there are some technology tools and some strategic ways that you can use technology to help support those kids. The packages put together, we're developing more over the next several months as more interactive technology guides that focus specifically on here's a technology tool that you can use, here's how you might use it in your classroom. Here are some practical ways that you could use this and integrate it to give people what it might look like in their classroom to use that. Just if anyone else has any questions. And everybody bearing with us as we have technology difficulties. Even if you're a technology implementation project and focused on helping schools do these things, we recognize that there's a number of challenges, and there are always unforeseen occasions. And to help make sure that your teachers, first of all, feel they have the structure to support them, but they have the tools and resources so that they can, and that they don't have, I've been with too many teachers who have said, well, I wanted to use technology, but it never seems to work, or the system is always down, or it takes for me to get this program that I wanted to use with my kids and have that kind of time. And by the time I get everything working, I've lost half the class. And so materials are really focused on helping schools think through that. And there's always going to be something that you can't foresee. Giving a webinar and having your website be down, for example. Create those structures so that teachers know, okay, here's who I need to call or who I need to talk to get this set up. I know that these things are going to work when I go to do them with my students, and I'm not going to be left flailing in front of a group of 25, 12-year-olds, which is always terrifying. And via our main website, and you can also, I'll put the link into that. TAC is cool for anybody who's not familiar with it. It's a way to create sort of visual flows. And you can create TAC boards. So a lot of schools and teachers are starting to use these for students to create visual, and you can use hashtags like you would use on Twitter or Instagram or whatever to group things together. I've seen teachers who will have things that are, Mrs. Fifth's 4th grade English, and they create a whole board, and all of their students upload their internet report that they've done, which may include things like text and images and videos. You can include audio clips and podcasts. So it allows students to create a really multimedia project. And so we have a whole PowerUp TAC board, and I'll put the link into the chat there so you can access there, as well as
this is very, I have about 2 more minutes left, but it's very exciting. The site is actually up, and so people can see now.
Hey.
So this is what we've been talking about. So the general kind of quick orientation before we leave. You'll see the left-hand side is our navigation, our primary navigation. And as you go down, we have PowerUp Your School, and that is where you'll find resources related to the building out at a school-wide level. If you click there, Ariel, really quickly, we have built this step in any school-wide initiative is to assess the readiness, whether the readiness of the infrastructure in your school building or the readiness level of your teachers and the general feel in the building. But this is an essential step in the process. And then we have information about those recommendations that I had overviewed earlier, as well as support modules. These are guides for convening meetings, among key individuals that you've identified to be working on the leadership team for supporting the technology initiative. And above that is we have the PowerUp Your Professional Development that Elise out, and a little bit of information about what is blended professional development, and then ways to be able to use PowerUp and on your blended PD. This access our library of starting planning the PowerUp PD. I just do want to drill in also into PowerUp Your School. This is where you'll find the optional strategy guides that Elise was referring to earlier that are focused on reading, writing, and mathematics, and are all drawn from best practice research and ways to be able to differentiate those strategies with the use of technology.
Great. Well, I think we're over time, and we know everybody is very busy, but we appreciate it, and bearing technical difficulties. Please feel free to contact Kristen or myself if you have any questions. Can you throw up the last slide? I believe that has our email addresses on it, Ariel, but I'll also put them into the chat to answer any questions or point you to any resources that would be useful in your school.
And if you, at any point, if you would like to, convene some of your teachers and would like for us to provide a webinar, we provide webinars, and so contact us through the PowerUp email at either of our email addresses below. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.